Hi guys, welcome. Who dat? I'm Joe, and I'm here bringing you my much delayed review of Saturday's game between our beloved Bless You Boys and Black and Gold, the New Orleans Saints, as we travel to Cleveland to play a very cold game against the Browns. I've heard two reports. One, the game started at 11 degrees, got as low as 6 degrees for sure, felt like -6. It was the coldest game in Saints history, the second coldest game in Browns history. And the Saints won. Final score 17-10. How about that? Who dat? A dome team goes to the north in an ice bowl and finds a way to win. So we should be patting them on the back. However, there were some head scratching moments. Overall, they found a way to do it. Seemed like they got their head out of their ass at about 3.5 minutes left to go in the first half. Started running Taysom Hill. And that was the big difference in the third quarter. We outscored the Browns 14-0 and managed to hold on for the win. Props to the defense for finding a way. I believe the Browns attempted to pass too much, but they did run the ball about 34 times for 124 yards. They passed the ball about 33 times. So overall, the Browns had way more plays than us. They had 67 plays. We only had 54. But we utilized it. We ran the ball 39 times out of those 54 plays. And as I say, in the third quarter, that was Taysom time. Still having a hard time figuring out how to use Kamara. But let's look at the stats. Andy Dalton, 8 of 15 for 92 yards. He had an interception. He fumbled twice. He dropped the snap a couple of times. You could tell it was cold out there, but he picked both of them up. The one interception he threw was a deflection. It was off the receiver. Pops up in the air, that kind of thing. We returned the favor to them later on when Deshaun Watson had a ball pop off of somebody, and Daniel Sorensen, of all people, picked it off for the Saints. So Dalton, I think, overall was okay. We were trying to pass the ball in the first quarter. We won the toss, and we elected to have the wind at our back, even though we weren't getting the ball first. And we were going to try to pass in the first quarter, get a big lead, and then force them to pass. Well, they planned on passing anyway with Watson. It just didn't really work for them that well. The running game, Alvin Kamara, 20 carries, 76 yards, and a touchdown. It's been a long time since Kamara has found the end zone. Several weeks. But this touchdown he scores against the Browns breaks the tie that he had with Marcus Colston for most career Saints touchdowns. So Alvin Kamara, as bad of a year as he's having, in my opinion, still manages to get the record. Outside of Drew Brees, we don't count passing touchdowns. Alvin Kamara has the most touchdowns in Saints history. Congratulations, Alvin. Player of the game to me, though, was, of course, Taysom Hill. He didn't throw the ball, but he did carry the ball 9 times for 56 yards, and he scores a touchdown. He was a big reason we got in the red zone in the second quarter right before the half ended to add 3 to the score to get our first 3 of the game. We end up going 2 of 3 in the red zone. Taysom Hill was a big part of that. David Johnson had 7 carries for 16 yards. Adam Prentice, the fullback, 2 carries for 5 yards. And, I like fullback carries. It's usually a short yardage situation, and they usually pick it up. And Dalton did run once for -1 yard. Don't know how they figure that out, but Sounds like a sack to me, but there you go. Receiving, we were down. Okay, there was no Olave. Missed the game with a hamstring. Jarvis Landry's been placed on IR. He was not going to play this game against his former team. So our leading receiver is undrafted rookie Rashid Shaheed once again. 5 targets, 4 catches, 41 yards. Solid game. He's developing his route running now. He's such a small guy that you figure if he doesn't take the top off, he's not going to be very effective anywhere else. And in order to be a complete NFL receiver, he's going to have to do some of the things that he's shown he can do in the last couple of weeks, leading the team in receiving. Alvin Kamara caught 2 balls for 34 yards. He was targeted 4 times. David Johnson was targeted once. He caught 1 for 8 yards. Juwan Johnson was targeted, I believe, twice. He caught 1 for 9 yards. And Keith Kirkwood, who was forced to play the game due to the injuries, he was targeted twice, and I believe he may have been the one that didn't catch it when it pops in the air and resulted in an interception. But overall, he has no catches, and that's it's not a way to make it in this league. So overall, we score 17 points. We do just enough to win this game, but we had to lean on the defense in the second half, and they came through in a big way, shutting the Browns out. And we were able to win this game. On defense, Tyrann Mathieu leads the team with 11 total tackles, including 1 for a loss. Tyrann Mathieu has graded out to be in the best position, the most. I mean, this guy's had a great year. Nothing to cheer about when it comes to interceptions, fumble recoveries, though he does lead the team with 2 interceptions or 3 or whatever he has in this pathetic year for our defense. As far as forcing turnovers, Tyrann Mathieu hasn't done what we hoped, but he's done more than everybody else. He may end up being our defensive MVP when it's all said and done. Wow. How about Cameron Jordan? Probably one of his best games this year. 7 total tackles, including a tackle for a loss. Caden Ellis, 7 total tackles, including a tackle for a loss. Daniel Sorensen, who had to play the game because Evans was hurt. Now, Justice Evans had 3 tackles before he got hurt. He got hurt pretty early, so he was involved. Sorensen comes in. He does great. 7 tackles, including that all-elusive interception. And Carl Granderson, once again, and during the preseason, during training camp, I thought he was playing to the level of competition he was across from. He was going to have to show a lot more if he wanted to be, an option for this defense. And he's put up a month of great stats. This was probably his most impressive one. 6 total tackles, 3 tackles for losses, and a sack. I think Granderson's the one that sacked Watson on the very last offensive play the Browns had to seal the deal for the team. Alontae Taylor also had 6 total tackles. Demario Davis finishes with 5 total tackles. Hanson got to play. He's played a lot of special teams, but he saw the field. He made 4 tackles. David Onyemata has 4 total tackles, including a half sack. Good game by Onyemata. Bradley Roby, 3 total tackles. Shy Tuttle, 3 total tackles. Evans, with the aforementioned 3 total tackles. Contavious Street, spot duty once again, looking pretty good. Surprising for me. 3 total tackles and that half a sack along with Onyemata. We finish with 2 sacks against Watson. I don't think Dalton was sacked. P.J. Williams got to play a little bit, had 2 total tackles. Paulson Adebo, 2 total tackles. And I'll make mention of Ty Summers here, who had 2 tackles. Who is Ty Summers? Right. Well, I didn't get to It's the holidays and my youngest kid is out of school. I didn't get a chance to do a preview of this game, but in the depth chart, I wanted to mention that we did pick up Ty Summers. He was on someone else's practice squad, and we put him straight on the active roster. Now, this kid's only been in the league like 3, 4 years. He's not a starter, so I knew when we got him, this was just to see how he can fit in on special teams. We also picked up a unknown cornerback, much the same way, who got on the active roster this week. I believe these were just special teams considerations, and Summers led the team with two tackles on special teams. So that's something to keep an eye on. We'll see when I do my preview this week if Summers is still on the depth chart. But your season's out of reach, basically. I mean, we were still in it after this win. We beat the Browns. We end up with 2 wins in a row. This is the first time it's happened all year, and it's in the last 3 games of the 4 games of the season. So next week we got to go to Philly. They still have to win to clinch the first spot in the conference. Now they're probably going to play Gardner Minshew, but Philly is such a good, complete team that I would say this is the one that the Saints have no chance of winning. And Philly's got that first round pick from the Saints too. They'd love to beat us to improve that pick, but they have to beat us if they want to guarantee that first round bye and first round slot. So they have a lot to play for despite the backup quarterback. And I think that's where the only chance the Saints has comes in for this game this weekend. Can we do to Minshew what we could not do so far over the course of Jalen Hurts' career? I mean, this team has torched us in the last couple of years. This is the 3rd year in a row we're playing them in Philly, I think. So, yeah, the scheduling gods be damned. But that's what's going to happen. In this game against Cleveland, we allowed 3 kick returns for 95 yards. The wind was blowing. It was very cold. These games are the kind of the games where you do see big returns. And Jerome Ford averaging over 30 yards a kick return. But Shaheed, on the other hand, for the Saints, 2 kick returns for 47 yards. Very good. On 3rd downs, we were 7 of 15, which is not horrible. We held Cleveland to 7 third down conversions on 16 attempts. So that was good. They converted 1 4th down, but they went for it. Cleveland went for it 3 times on 4th down. So good job overall for our defense, including holding them to 1 of 3 in the red zone. That's what you got to do to win these cold outdoor games when you don't have any receivers to throw to and everything's going against the quarterback with the cold and the wind. You have to be able to run it. 39 carries for the Saints, 152 yards. Browns run it 34 times for 124 yards. Overall, we were solid against the run. You kind of expected that the Cleveland's running game was going to get going. Our running game defense is pretty bad this year. Never a consistent game. And Cleveland is very good at running the ball. I think despite the Saints having a decent game plan, not using Taysom Hill early it's just one of those things that just you have to point a finger at Pete Carmichael and say, what are you doing? Everyone knew this was a Taysom game. So there's the reverse psychology again. Oh, we're gonna take the ball with the wind at our back and we're gonna try to throw it. Okay, it didn't work. I guess it's okay. You expect Taysom Hill to run the ball. Let's give him something else for a quarter and a half until we're down 10-0. And Taysom's first carry goes for 11 yards. So maybe we opened up Taysom a little bit by throwing the ball like we were. I just can't give Pete Carmichael creative credit for anything. He has one good game every 4 games, and so we managed to win this one, but there was still a lot to be desired. All right, the Saints going to Philadelphia this weekend. We are going to need the football gods to be in our favor if we're going to win this game. And the only chance the Saints have at the playoffs at this point is to beat Philly and then win against Carolina in the last game. And Tampa Bay has to lose both games they have remaining. They have to play Carolina this week, Atlanta the last game. Tampa should easily beat Atlanta. But Carolina got Tampa Bay in the first meeting. I think the final score was 21-3. And Carolina's been on a roll. And if Carolina wins out, they go to the playoffs. And this is after firing their head coach and trading Christian McCaffrey. This was after Carolina looked like they were just giving up for the year. You fire your coach, you get rid of your best player, and you start winning enough games to actually go to the playoffs. I mean, their playoff destiny is in their hands. If they beat Tampa and then they beat us in the last game, that sad ass team is going to win the NFC South. So here's hoping Tampa loses 2, we win 2, and we can see what we can do in the playoffs. I think we'll probably have to. I think the first wild card game will be traveling to Dallas, something like that, or Philly, whichever one. Wouldn't that be great? Subscribe to Roosevelt 10. I'm going to be doing a preview of the Saints Eagles game in a couple of days. And until then, that.